Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 286 of the Canadian Football Countdown, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network and the Alternative Football Network. It's Adam Stewart here with you alongside Trey Colbeck. No Ryan Coop tonight. Apparently he's got priorities like work or something like that. I don't know.
Work and family. What's that?
Exactly. I mean, if we're on the verge of starting a new CFL season here, and he's in priorities of work and all that, but you know what? All good. We'll make it work. With our season preview show here tonight, no pressure. We just got to preview 9 teams, and I think we got 90 minutes to do it. And give you some predictions, talk about the offense, talk about the defenses, talk about where the team's going to end up, maybe even give you some ideas for fantasy in case you're like us and have to do some fantasy picks here in the next week. Or if you have to do a whole unique draft of your own, we'll help you with that too, maybe just a little bit here. But before we get going here, I do want to introduce, of course, Mr. Trey Colbeck. Trey, how you doing tonight?
You know what, man? I'm doing pretty good, pretty tired, man. It's been a busy week, and it's weird. It's so sunny outside. It's like I feel like we should be doing a podcast right now. Like
I know. I'm sitting here on the farm and saying I got like 30 things I should be doing right now, but
yeah, I got yard work I could be doing. I could be going to bed. Also kind of feels like a weird Friday. I feel like it just be the weekend already, but I'm doing pretty good, all considering. Yeah, man, how are you? I see you wearing the green. You're a day early wearing the green, huh? That's
you know what? Figured it may as well come out a little bit early, but no, honestly, got seating done, got the work done that I needed to get done. Still got some rocks to pick. Yes, we have a machine for that. We don't go manually picking rocks, although that would be pretty entertaining, I would suppose. But no, honestly, glad to be here and glad to get our season preview.
now that Ryan's not here, we could you want to talk about inoculants and, seeding and all that, or what?
Well, yeah, you know what? Just make a whole episode on that. I'm sure FM fan and the rest of our crew, they've all come to watch that. That's absolutely what it was, right?
The farming section on our Discord page is probably the most popular in the off season. So,
well, when I go and promise that our Patreon page is going to have me wrestling a black bear on it, I guess there is that. Let's get going here, though. Let's go and give our sponsor a shout out, Game Time TV. It's brought to you, again, the whole Canadian Football Countdown is brought to you by Game Time TV. Learn more by visiting GameTimeTV.ca or by following on Facebook at facebook.com/GameTimeTVMB. And as always, we want to acknowledge that the Canadian Football Countdown is brought to you from Treaty 1 territory, traditional territory of the Assiniboine, Cree, Ojibwe, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation, as well as from TG84 territory, traditional territory of the Cree, Saulteaux, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, and homeland of the Métis Nation. And hey, if you're always looking for extra stuff from us or looking for additional content on top of our weekly episodes, or just looking to visit with us essentially about anything like Trey said before, never know, maybe we want to talk about inoculating. You can head over to our Discord channel. We've got lots of great stuff like CFL interest in there as well. Our CFL general page has been going nonstop here in the last little bit. All of our depth charts are posted. Make sure you head to the Discord channel and join the Canadian Football Countdown over on our Discord page. As well, Trey, you want to talk about the Discord league that we got going on?
Yeah, the Discord Fantasy League, trying to get that all in order. So if you're listening and you are a part of it, there's two players, I guess I don't know their gender, 2 people that need to join the Fantasy League. So check out the Discord, because otherwise I will be calling people out in front of everybody. If I don't see some kind of response by tomorrow morning, you will get, I'll tag you and I will hound you. I'll DM you and I'll say, hey, if you don't respond in 60 minutes, you're out. And I'm that kind of guy. So, but yeah, we're going to have our Fantasy Discord League. 16 teams. I'm actually pretty impressed with that. That's definitely the biggest I could think of we've had. I don't think we quite were there last year. So it's going to be very exciting. Yeah. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out who this Chad person is. Someone either gave out the link, or someone didn't want to tell me their name. So, yeah, we'll get that all sorted out. Chad might get booted if he doesn't tell me who he is, but other than that, we'll see. We'll figure it out. And yeah, I'm going to be posting the rules and everything in the Discord probably while we're talking, because I want to get this all sorted before the weekend, so that I don't want to worry about this on the weekend. Adam, maybe I know, what about your fantasy? You got your Ryan's decided that he trusts us enough that he's delegating some things. I don't remember signing up for this, but now I have to be commissioned of one league. You're commissioned of another league. Do you want to talk about yours real quick?
I'm afraid for us, Trey. I really am. Yeah, no, I'm doing the Canadian Football Podcast League, so it's members from all over the podcast network, all the great shows that you listen to. We're gonna go head to head every week, like we always do, and there's gonna be there was a little bit of an entry fee. That way, the winner goes and gets the bragging rights. There's a little bit of a playoff game. There's a little bit of everything else. They get some bragging rights, and not only that, they get to make a donation to the charity of their choice. So there's some big dollars already into this, and it's getting bigger and bigger. And I think we have about 14 podcasters right at the moment that are in. So yeah, if you're a podcaster listening to this league and still want to join, you have up until tomorrow to get a hold of me. Honestly, we'll tell you how to find us later on. It's pretty not that bad to find us, but hey, if you did want to join the podcast league and you got a CFL podcast, by all means, the more the merrier. We want to see as many teams as we can in there. Yeah, I think all three of us are in there. I think you're in there. I'm in there. Ryan is in there.
Ryan, for sure. I'm surprised Mike's in the Discord one. I don't remember him being in the Discord one in the past. Maybe he was in that one. And not the CF.
He's been in that one before.
Okay, maybe it's the podcast one. He's not, but yeah, we're 14 and 16, man. That's those two solid leagues. And we'll have some fun. FM fan, man. We don't need filler, man. We gotta talk about. We were supposed to do a West show last week. All three of us just said no. Pretty much, right? Like 20 minutes before we were supposed to kind of record, we're like, oh, we're actually recording tonight. So now we got to do both in one night. And Ryan, man, I've always said Ryan and Mike are the mom and dad. Ryan stays home and he takes care of us. Mike went to go get milk and never came back. And that's and now we're left at home alone no matter what. So I don't know. Now mom went to go get cigarettes, never came back. I don't know what's going on.
Child Protective Services is going to be calling the CFC countdown soon, I think. Nevertheless, you know what, though, FM fan, I know you guys say you need a filler for the private keeper league. Well, hey, on Monday at 10:30 Eastern, where I just wanted to bring this one up before I forget, we will be doing our fantasy draft for 2025 for our own private league. Now, the private league is all chaos. It amplifies the CFL in its finest. It's the ultimate chaos league. Me and Trey usually sit around and see how we can bend the rules, or we're like the ultimate Bill Belichick's of that league. We try to do what we can to make as much chaos as we can. But
I already got draft day shenanigans. I got to DM you before Mondays.
Don't worry, I have plans, man. I've got plans, and Ryan is going to murder me when he sees what I've got planned.
Yeah, we had to shut down trading till draft day because it was going to get nuts, I think.
Oh, it could get a little bit crazy. But tomorrow afternoon, later tomorrow afternoon, I believe, we're doing the draft order.
Lottery,
we'll let you know on how that goes. I'm sure probably there'll be some sort of ducks involved. Usually is, unless Ryan found something other than ducks. Yeah, we've got a draft order. Then we have to submit our keepers, and I don't know if I could pull that up. Otherwise, I would do that. Is pull up our current rosters. You got any idea, Trey, who you're keeping?
Nathan Rourke, maybe? Can I keep him? I can't remember.
Yeah, no, I think you're eligible.
I think that's probably for sure. I honestly, I've been so stressed out with the other league, I haven't even had a chance to look at that.
I took a quick glance the one day there. I think I got the two that I'm going to keep for sure. Mine's not very tough, but like it's pretty obvious who I'm probably going to keep. But we'll see how it goes. And being the defending
all my
champ,
plans got
there's some
shot
good
out the
players.
window. All my plans got shot out the window because I had it geared up. I was gonna trade you half my lineup. You were gonna trade me half of yours, and we'd somehow trade waiver money, and future considerations, and then all that. We had our league meetings this week, and a lot of rules got put on. The tush push is allowed, but apparently some of our shenanigans isn't, right? So.
No, apparently not. And I mean, I'm sure probably Ryan is right now currently figuring out. He's saying he's working. He's actually probably figuring out who he's spending $100 on right away. I'm pretty certain that's what he's actually doing.
And I would put any amount of money that Mike has thought for the last 6 months how he could screw us over. So.
We're gonna get our comeuppance one of these days. I know it's gonna happen. I mean,
we're getting busted for a collusion.
I traded you an injured player for like an all-star. Yeah, didn't help me. I still was last in the league, but nevertheless, I guess we should get on with this because we've got a lot of teams and a lot of previews to do. What do you say we start in the East Division here? Because of course, you and me are both in the West Coast and not in the West Coast, but in the West side.
It's as in the middle as possible, but yeah, I guess.
Winnipeg, I don't know.
The mighty Red River. Yeah, that's about it.
West of the Red. Anyways, no, let's start over on the East Division. And we may as well start as far east as we can go. Let's start with the Montreal Alouettes. Good team last year. Definitely a team that was really, really strong going down the stretch in the regular season, but one and done in the playoffs. Just couldn't get past Chad Kelly and the Toronto Argonauts, even though Chad Kelly got injured about 2/3 of the way through that game. Montreal, I think they pretty much kept all their team except for one real vital position. You want to talk about that, Trey?
Yeah, and I mean, that one threw me off a little bit. I can understand going with the younger guy. I haven't been as sold on Davis Alexander as other people have, and clearly the Montreal organization's pretty sold on him if they, booted Cody and kept him, because I can't imagine Bethel Thompson or Caleb Evans really being in a tough situation, but maybe the leash is short. I don't know. Did you think Davis Alexander earned this? Like, I mean, he kind of earned it through Fajardo's injuries last year, right?
He did, but I think he earned it. He's been there for a little while already in Montreal. Honestly, you're going to have to take that chance on somebody sometime, right? I mean, Saskatchewan did it with Cody Fajardo back in the day, right? He came from BC being the third and one guy and running the football, and then all of a sudden he's a starting quarterback, and boy, you know what? All of a sudden he looks pretty good. I think Davis Alexander looked really good for what we've seen of him last year. I think that he's one of those players that needs to get his opportunity when he can get his opportunity, and I think that opportunity is now. I don't mind the move. I'm just worried that they have no real veteran. They do have a veteran behind them, but it's somebody that I don't know if I would probably keep relying on as much. He didn't do much in Edmonton last year. This is McLeod Bethel Thompson we're talking about. Didn't do really much last year, I thought, in Edmonton. So you don't really have much. You do have an insurance policy, but I don't know. I don't trust Davis Alexander's development really that much on a guy like McLeod Bethel Thompson. You can see what he did with Trey Ford, which I don't think was much. I don't know. That's my biggest question mark in Montreal, essentially, is on the offense and in the quarterback room. I think everything else in the offense-wise, Trey, I think everything else looks pretty good. What about the backfield receivers? What are you thinking you see out of Montreal?
It was tough because a few weeks ago when we were doing the top 5 receiving cores, I can't remember how exactly I had it, but Montreal is definitely going to be up there with Tyson Philpott and some of that company. So I'm trying to figure out the website because it keeps flipping back to French on me. Here we go. Yeah, but you got Austin Mack, you got Tyson Philpott, you got Charleston Rambo, Tyler Sneed, Cole Speaker. the list goes on and on and on, and that's not counting someone who might be the up and comer, because there's always a couple, especially receivers, right? There's always a name or two where you're like, an injury happens and this guy comes in. The running back, Fletcher, seemed to get the ball last year more. I think their offense, they're on par for being one of the best offenses in the league as long as Davis Alexander keeps it going. But like you said, if you wanted the nurturing quarterback up, probably should have kept Fajardo, but I was surprised he went to Edmonton because he's going to have a similar role. So it's not like, there, which we'll talk about later. I would have kept Fajardo even in that nurturing role. But I think this offense will be, man, the offense is in the East, man. We'll get to the other ones, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I believe you're right. I mean, the offense is in the East. I mean, Montreal did lose two pieces on their offense when you look at it. I mean, Philippe Gagnon, although he's injured now for Saskatchewan. Surprise, surprise, an offensive lineman injured in Saskatchewan. Who'd have seen that coming? But Reggie White Jr. is with Winnipeg. I mean, Julian Grant, he went to Edmonton, I believe. But that being said, I can see these guys having enough depth and a lot more pieces. Again, Letcher Jr. is one of those guys that's developing, and I think he's really going to be a good wide receiver for Montreal for many years to come. So I don't think those losses are really going to hurt them a whole lot. Over on the defensive side of the football, this team's stacked, especially in the linebacking core. I mean, you look at what they've got. They've got probably the two best linemen in the league. Your thoughts on the defense here, Trey, for Montreal?
Oh, no, I 100% agree. This defense is ferocious. You're talking about the D-line. Their secondary is one of the toughest. You still got Sankey back there and a bunch of other guys. I was quite surprised this team lost last year. And like you said, they haven't lost tons of players, like a couple key points, but is Reggie White Jr. really going to change the offense? Not really. And the couple of maybe subtractions they've had on defense, but it's always next man up. If it wasn't for the other three teams in the East being so good, I would say that Montreal should be the slam dunk first place team, but it's no slight on them that I can't say that. It's the other three teams, but I think they put themselves in a very good position to be hosting a playoff game come, this November, and it's come through their defense. Remember when they had the Grey Cup year 2 years ago, their defense was unstoppable the last, 5 or 6 games or something, 7 games. They went unreal. There's some crazy stats they had during that time, and I could see this team being very similar to that.
Absolutely. And I mean, not only that, on their defensive line, adding Sean Oakman, I mean, that's a big add, as well as Josh Archibald. Both of those guys were really good last season. It'll be very interesting to see all the other moves that they make. Again, they've got quite a bit of depth. Again, like you've said, if it isn't, Darnell Sankey lighting it up, it's on the other side of the football as well. I mean, their linebacking core is ridiculous. Their defensive line is stacked. Little bit of question with the quarterback, but honestly, if Davis Alexander gets off to any good start, this team here is looking at, you're right, a home playoff spot at minimum. I did mention we were going to talk a little bit about fantasy players to maybe watch over in Montreal. You got one in mind besides the one that I kept last year as my keeper?
That Tyson Philpott. Actually, you know what? Honestly, that receiving core, if I'm trying to get my inner Ryan here, I'd probably stay away from that receiving core, because sure, Tyson Philpott might light it up, but you got Austin Mack, you got Rambo, you got Sneed, you got Speaker. Philpott seemed to be a little bit more Fajardo's go-to guy early in the season, and now that it's a different quarterback, you don't know who that go-to guy is. But I would be all over that quarterback, because I think they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. Fletcher's pretty good, but he's also kind of gets a lot of passes out of that backfield. So if I was going to be the fantasy guy, I would definitely look at Davis Alexander if you're playing the CFL league. Let me see. You know what? Let's pull it up since we're here, because let's say a value play here. What's Tyson? 11,000. That's one of the cheaper quarterbacks right now. The only quarterback that looks cheaper than him is Drew Brown out of Ottawa as a starter, right? So if you're playing the CFL pool, that's the way I would go. You?
I really like the look of Walter Fletcher. I mean, a guy that can go out of the backfield, make catches is big for anybody in fantasy. He usually is fairly reasonable and priced, and he can still run the football when he needs to run the football. It would be probably Walter Fletcher for me as one guy. You're right. Davis Alexander's cheap. I mean, if he gets off to any start and with the receiving core that he has, he should make a lot of passes very quick. If I was forced to, again, I don't like taking defenses ever because defenses suck and they suck in CFL fantasy. But if you're forced to take a defense, Montreal's is a darn good defense. I mean, last year that defense was on fire and it showed. I think they were maybe one of the leaders in fantasy points all season. So, and there's a reason why they were a really good defense. So that's our kind of fantasy things. Where do you got these guys in the East, Trey?
Are we gonna do that now, or are we gonna wait till we go through all four? Let's go through all four.
Okay.
Because I'm going to talk myself out of it. I'm going to do that. That's like ranking them blindly, and I'm going to put them somewhere, and then we're going to talk about Toronto or Hamilton, and I'm going to go, I got to move it around.
All right. Well, then let's move down down a little bit to the west, and let's just stop in Ottawa. The Ottawa Redblacks, of course, last year, maybe not the best ending to the season for sure. I mean, they had a few good games in there mixed in. Drew Brown, first year starting quarterback. Went in, beat his old team, which was pretty fun to watch. And then all of a sudden, it just seemed like this defense was one of those bend, but just keep bending and bending and bending and bending and bending defenses as what I considered the Ottawa Redblacks was their biggest thing. They had some good receivers. I mean, Justin Hurdy. They have a few new pieces. Khalil Pimpleton, I think, is one of those guys you really want to watch. Offensively, this team, I think, was okay. They did lose a few pieces in here. Deontay Bull did retire for Ottawa. I'm just trying to take a look here who else they may have lost in the offense. I guess they did get quite a few pieces back, though, in the receiving side of things for themselves, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Eugene Lewis is back, which is a big one for Eugene Lewis is in there. That was a big pickup. And yeah, he'll complement that team pretty well, I think, as well. Biggest question I got maybe for the offense, though, is the running room. What do you think, Trey?
Yeah, I mean, Stanback's back, right? He was out in BC last year, so that could be a nice addition there. All considering. Sorry, my classic computer is being a little slow. I definitely want to see what Stanback, what he can do in that, and I think he could definitely be a guy who just takes over the game. He could be wasn't he like second or third in rushing last year, surprisingly. So I think someone like that will definitely help a more inexperienced quarterback, assuming it's going to be Drew Brown for, first few weeks. My thing is I kind of have the same question about this is, Drew Brown's leash. You got Dustin Crum, who showed he can play at times. You got Matt Schiltz, who's, he's been a starter at some point, with that end, I wonder what Drew Brown's kind of, he left Winnipeg to come be the guy in Ottawa, but, they lost Mazzoli. Mazzoli moved on, but now that's the pretty, young and hungry quarterback room. The oldest guy is, Schiltz is 32, but outside of that, nobody is older than 28 in that quarterback room. These guys got, minimal, not a lot of years left, and I wonder how Drew Brown will do.
After saying it here, I was looking at it. I think Drew Brown would be okay, but his offensive line might be the issue here again. Deontay Bull's gone. You've got Jacob Ruby. Yes, he's been there for a long time. He's a good player. You did bring in Peter Godber to be your center out of Saskatchewan. I think he's a good one, as well as Drew Delarlay is a very good offensive lineman. I'm talking about Nationals in this case. You do have a little bit of help there. But that being said, the depth I don't think is quite there for Ottawa. I think if there's some injuries that ever happen in Ottawa for offensive linemen, yeah, Drew Brown's going to be in trouble. They do have the backups, though. They have Matthew Schiltz. They've got Dustin Crum as well. He's been there for a little while. Running back, I think Daniel Adeboye is probably a very big pickup for them, seeing as he's a national running back. Last year, I thought he looked pretty good in Toronto when he got the opportunity to actually play in Toronto. Wasn't a whole lot, but he did get his chances. As we said before, though, their offensive pieces, Eugene Lewis, Justin Hardy, Maurice French, I've seen him before. He looked pretty decent. Braylon Addison, of course, Jalen Acklin retiring does hurt this team a little bit as well. So it'd be very interesting to see how this goes between Ottawa's offense. I think they should be at least the same, maybe a bit better, but that offensive line still scares me if Drew Brown has enough time. Defensively, what do you want? Whoops, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, well, this is a weird team. Like at early glance, they're probably the odd team out in the East right now, but one of the other three teams have a couple injuries, or something like that. I could see Ottawa very easily getting 8-8, 9-9 NFL brain right now. You know what I mean? 9-9, 10-8 kind of thing, and squeezed into the playoffs very easily. The defense, yeah, like you said, the bend kind of, they're weird. They'll have a game where they'd give up, a lot, and then they have like a weird one against Saskatchewan where it was like 12-12 going into overtime or something stupid like that. It was very weird kind of game plan last year, and I think hoping just another year. Ottawa is that team that something about them, I just want them to get over that hump, and they kind of bought their Grey Cup when they early on in this franchise a little bit. Fair enough. I'm not knocking it. It's a very good way of doing it, and you got Burris, and you had all that run, but since then they just quite haven't been the same team. And I think this is a good year. If this would be a crazy year for them to arrive, because I think the other three teams, we say this every year, this could maybe be the East crossover year if Ottawa gets their shit together, because the other three teams, barring anything nuts, should be locked in. And, Ottawa's then battling it out with Calgary and Edmonton and maybe, Winnipeg or other teams that might not be that good. So.
Yeah, and this defense I was just going to bring up as well. I mean, in paper, this defense looks like a very good defense. You've got Cleon Lang. You've got Daniel Apoko, who's got another season coming into him, national defensive lineman. That's a big piece. You've got Lorenzo Maldwin IV. He looks really good as well. He's been a good part of this team for quite a while. The defensive line looks good. The linebackers look okay. They've added to it. They added the Darius Pickett, which is a big piece for the Ottawa Redblacks. As long as he can get going, as well as Jovan Santos Knox. I don't think something happened to Santos Knox. I just have a feeling. I thought I heard his name in the news one time here. But honestly, they've got a good defensive line and a defensive linebacking core that can compete. The secondary, I still got some questions. If you bring in Amari Henderson, I mean, in the East Division against a certain Hamilton team, yikes, I don't like the sounds of that. But hey, maybe you never know. Maybe he's changed. He's going to be better. I sure hope so. But the secondary kind of questions me a little bit in Ottawa. What do you think, Trey?
The secondary is so tough, because to me, the secondary, you bring in 30 guys, it seems like, every training camp, and it's a revolving door, and you could get, you could get Amari Henderson, who could get burned. You could get Tyrell Ford. You know what I mean? That may be a little different circumstance. You can get random guys that come in and could be one of the best cornerbacks in the league. I hate the DB spot is one of the toughest, and you got to give somewhat of these American guys a little bit of a pass when they're like, oh, you get a running startup here. I mean, it's going to take some time on a bigger field and stuff. So maybe just another year under some guys' belts, training camp. I'm not too. I think everyone's secondary sucks. In all of football, you can't touch a receiver nowadays. So you may as well just put the ball up the one every time. So let's forget the other 99 yards. Just go down to the one, and we'll just push it in, and whoever gets the most pushes wins. But yeah, seriously, I'm not too. I have a gut feeling. I have nothing telling me this in actuality. I just have a gut feeling Ottawa is going to be a little better this year. but a little better, still might just be 9-9.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Ottawa's going to be, again, in paper, they should be okay. They should be a pretty decent team. But you're right. Montreal in the East, Hamilton we'll talk about pretty soon here in the East. And Toronto, again, has been one of those teams that's been pretty strong for a long time. They're the defending Grey Cup champs. So it's very tough to say how this ends for Ottawa this season. If I'm a betting person, I would, I don't know. I honestly, they're weird with their paperwork, how their paper looks. Fantasy players, if you have to make some drafts and if you're doing some drafts and have to pick up some players and you have to stick with them, I mean, Justin, don't tell him Jake Hardy, I mean, is almost won me my season last year. So, I mean, that's got to be one, right, Trey?
No, I would definitely go with him. I would actually look at Eugene Lewis. He might be playing with a chip on his shoulder, being told from his former GM there's no stars in this league, so you never know, especially whenever they go to Edmonton, right? That might be a revenge game for sure. Maurice French, that he jumped off the page early, and then he kind of in his career, and I feel like he disappeared the last year or two. That could be interesting. Braylon Addison, stand back. I expect some big. Again, this team on paper could have some big fantasy guys on offense. It's just the win losses depends if that defense can contain the other team. Devontae Dedmon, is he okay? Why did I feel like he was hurt?
Yeah, somebody in
or was that last year?
Got hurt, and I'm not. Sorry, I have not looked at the things.
Yeah. Well, if Dedmon's healthy, he's always good. Like FM fan said, I forgot Pimpleton. Pimpleton lit it up near the end of the year last year. Again, on paper, they have a lot of people who could be some fantasy supporters there too. The receiving core, again, maybe like how Montreal, I'll stay away from just because there are 4 or 5 guys that could get the ball, and you just have to guess the lucky one that week. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of plays on this team.
Yeah, and another cheap pick if you're looking for fantasy, Nick Marner would be actually a really good one as well. Don't get him confused with Mitch Marner. He is not going to Ottawa. I don't. I never know, I guess, but nevertheless, Marner is looking, I think, is actually probably a good receiver as well. Canadian, so he's going to play probably some pretty serious minutes, especially with the loss of Jalen Acklin. I think that they'll probably try to put him in there quite a little bit more than you've seen last year.
Oh, Marner's out for the season, according to FM Fan Man, so you've been debunked.
Well, I guess maybe they do need to sign Mitch Marner.
Just boot him from the chat.
Exactly. He knows everything. That or we'll just bring him in here, let him do the talk for
the hours. Yeah, just let him put up the depth charts and he can talk about it, and then we can just work on our fantasy leagues.
Exactly. Anyway, I guess we'll move on to the next team on our list. Seeing as my geography is terrible, I think it's the Toronto Argonauts next. If you're going east or west, whatever. I think it's probably Toronto. Let's go with them anyways. I think the biggest concern that Toronto has, unfortunately for the second straight year, has got to be quarterback, right? For injury-wise, I believe that...
Why is it a concern?
Well, Chad Kelly's hurt, isn't he?
I thought he was ready to go.
He's not starting week 1.
Well, he's rehabbing, but I thought they said he'd be ready for the season. No?
Maybe I'm wrong. Well, we looked that one up.
I gotta check the Google machine here because I could. Well, now FM fans quiet, huh? When we're talking about the Argos and he disappears.
Yeah,
I could have sworn I thought they said he was starting, and the only reason he wasn't playing in. I thought I saw that he was leaving the team. Oh, no timetable 2 weeks ago. Okay. It says Chad Kelly 50-50 to start week 1 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but I don't think he's
no
starting.
timetable.
Of course, if you do remember with Chad Kelly there, I mean, he did take that injury in the East Final last year against the Alouettes. Was a major fracture, I believe, or broken leg, or what was it exactly? I can't remember.
Did I make up something too that... I need to start saving things. So I thought I also saw too that he was leaving the team temporarily because he's having a kid too. So that might be a week or two off.
I mean,
yeah, which which I saw that and I was like, God, if anyone needs to be a parent to mature, it would be Chad Kelly a little bit, right? Because still his tweets every other day don't make sense. But yeah, no, honestly though, I'm not too concerned about that because I would have, Nick Arbuckle did okay last time he was on the field. Cam Dukes definitely had some moments. Obviously I think it would be Arbuckle starting, but Cameron Dukes played all right as well. I think you can make the argument even with a healthy Chad Kelly, if any of them could start, right?
Yeah, because I like FM fan is blowing up our chat and telling us right now for Chad Kelly, it's either a 1-game injured list, it's a backup, or it's a 6-game, depending, I guess, what the MRI was showing for his broken left leg. He had an ingrown toenail, but I know that was probably not what the issue was. It was just, I don't think the toenail was probably the issue. I think it was more the left leg to make sure that everything was good. I don't know if I'd want Nick Arbuckle as my 6-game quarterback, though. Would you, Trey? I mean, look at his record back in the day when he played with Ottawa. Not pretty. When he was in Calgary, not pretty. I mean, 1 game, okay.
I mean, what Chad Kelly didn't have an impressive record. He had 1 good drive against Winnipeg and Regina, and now he's been arguably the best quarterback when he's on the field. I mean, I get all sides. Sometimes that's all it takes is the right situation, the right team. I think for 1 week, I'd be okay with Arbuckle. The 6-week mark, I'd even be okay with Arbuckle or Dukes. I would be okay with that. If it was a 9-game suspension or something again, I would be a little bit more with it. And yeah, the FM fans all correct, but I just had to Google it. He is expecting a child too. I was right about that. Apparently he's married. Who would have knew? Anyway, I think that this team is well put together that they could probably survive a game or two without Chad Kelly. And it's the CFL. 21 weeks all in total. You want your starters to be healthy Labor Day on. So if he needs to take a few weeks, week 1, 2, 3, 4, to come back fully healthy, again, I hate to say this, Bombers were 0-5, and then they rallied. We've seen teams make the playoffs at 9-9 and rally. Montreal, when they had it when they won a couple years ago, they were like a 500 team and then went on a crazy win streak. I think Toronto's they need to keep their head above water for 3 or 4 weeks and then let the team get going. That's where I see it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just look at it, though, again, if I was 6 weeks without a quarterback, I'd be very nervous. Cameron Dukes didn't show a whole lot last year. Nick Arbuckle, again, he was in there for what he needed to be, but I don't know.
Maybe I'm just traumatized when Cameron Dukes almost beat the Bombers that one day game. You know what I mean? So he looked good that day. So
anybody can look good against the Bombers for one day, I guess.
That's fair. But I think they got Kadeem Carey, they got McMahon in the back. I just saw how he wants to get his name pronounced, and I'm gonna butcher it. But anyway, McMahon. They got Kevin Brown. They got some running backs in there that I think can definitely block and help the game out. They got a good receiving core with Coxey still and Daniels, and I think they're well put together offense that I don't think that I think Nick Arbuckle can get through it.
There's some pieces on this team also in the receiving core that I do like. Tavares Daniels has had a pretty good career over in Toronto lately. Again, DeMonte Conksey, you can't go wrong with him. One national receiver that I'm really looking to see if he takes another step forward is Kevin Meitel. I said him last year, and I thought that he was going to be really good. And turns out he just didn't really get a whole lot of time to show what he can do as far as I'm concerned. But as FM fan, again, tells us in the chat, his question with Toronto, and I guess my question a little bit too, is their defense. 10 of 17 games last year where the defenses gave 30 points against or more, and their offense had to score 31 plus points to try to win a game. That's not really a good sign of success. However, they still got enough pieces, I think, on that team to probably have a fairly good defense when they need it, right, Trey?
Yeah. My brain's half fried. I'm trying to think back. Was who's the Riders coach? Mace, right? Was he the defensive coordinator in Toronto or offense? Defense, right? Defensive coordinator leaves. Defense looks a little lost out there. That was my thinking. Like maybe another year, same system. They got thing going. They still have a lot of good pieces on the team, like you said. Like what was I just looking here? Was Judge still on the team? They got a lot of opportunity. I think it could be a better. I'm so tired. I don't even know what I'm saying. I think the defense is fine. So I'm trying to stutter my way out of it.
I think they got enough pieces that they've kept that they've lost some big pieces. I mean, you lose Jake Ceresna on that defensive line, that hurts. That being said, I think they've got enough pieces to make it work. I mean, Whit McManus still is there. I mean, he's good, definitely a decent linebacker, like beside Cameron Judge. That's pretty good. You look over in their defensive, even in the backfield, they've got guys again that are very decent players. Tavares McFadden last year I thought was a decent defensive back. I think he'll be a good one this year again. And the line has actually improved a little bit. Celestion Haba, Theatric Hansen, they grabbed both of those out of Winnipeg. And they've also got out of Saskatchewan, who I'm really actually disappointed to see gone. Just because of all the talk about him. 6'4", 305-pound DeMarcus Christmas. Christmas has left Saskatchewan. It's sad.
I'm pretty mad about Theatric Hansen not being on the Bombers anymore. Out of all the global players, he was the ratio breaker for that. If that's still a thing that you have to have one, right? Like you put it, he was a great guy to have on special teams and on the defensive line when he filled in. So, that's a big one there. But yeah, I think this defense will be okay. They got a lot of, they got a lot of pieces, and I think they'll get it together. And I also we're going to talk about this East. I think every team in the East is going to put up 40 points and maybe not be able to stop that. It's how these teams are set up right now.
I agree. I don't think Toronto is one of these teams. Again, when Chad Kelly is there, I think it's a team that can really start hucking the ball and really start getting some points. But before Chad Kelly gets back, and that's the linchpin, I think, on the Toronto Argonauts, when Chad Kelly gets back, it'll be a little different than when Chad Kelly's not there. I think that they really do need some extra pieces before they go again. Their defense, I think, is good enough, but they need to learn how to stop the pass a little bit, and they need to be able to get enough points. And I don't know about Toronto this year. We're right. East teams are loaded right now. It's an arms race, essentially, in the offensive side of the football. Anything else you got with Toronto, or should we move on? Oh, I guess a fantasy player to watch. I think honestly, I brought up mine was Kevin Meitel. Yeah. You need a national receiver in your fantasy draft, like we do for ours. He may be a guy to watch, but hey, we'll see. What do you think, Trey?
Yeah, I there's a few things on here. The price would not be good, but Chad Kelly's always a good one to go to, even though you're going to break the bank. Obviously, when he's healthy, Kadeem Carey, same thing. He's probably going to be 14,000 plus on the CFL Fast if you're playing that. Need a kicker? I'd go with Liram. Liram's a good, solid pick too. Could be for that. Do we have to do kickers? No, we don't do kickers on CFL Fantasy. That's our league, so never mind. But, Liram could be a good one if you have to do it. I'm trying to, man, this spring went by so fast. I can't believe CFL starts next week.
I know. Tomorrow's the last day of preseason already. I mean, It just seems insane already. On a side note, for those that are tuning in or just finished up the NHL game, I guess congrats to the Edmonton Oilers. They're moving on to play the Florida Panthers for a second straight Stanley Cup final.
I'd rather them win than the Leafs, so I'll take it.
I just want to see what it's going to do to Edmonton Elk seating and attendance for a little bit here. Hopefully, it doesn't affect it. Hopefully, it
well, but they're talking about bringing the name back, right? So it's okay.
The Edmontons. I'm going to call them that now because they want to be called the Double E. Anyway, let's move on to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Let's get the East out of the way here. So if this was a game of poker, if the CFL was actually one big game of poker, The Hamilton Tiger Cats literally grabbed all their chips, pushed them to the middle, and said, all in, bring it, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. They tried their best to get every player imaginable, especially from Winnipeg. The adding the Kenny Lawler, adding Wolotarski, adding a couple other names, and Bo seems to be wanting it this year, right? He led the league in passing yards still last year, didn't he? He was pretty up there in a couple of things. They got a lot of crazy good talent in that receiving core. Bridges, like I said, adding Lawler, Wolotarski, Tim White still on this team. I think it's going to be a pretty crazy offense. Did they not add Drew Wolotarski? Or did they? Oh, there it is. Sorry, I just couldn't see Wolotarski. I'm like, I said his name 3 times. I couldn't find him on the roster. But
honestly, I what I can't wait for is for Bo Levi Mitchell to start looking like he's 25 again and start hucking the football just as deep as he possibly can and let his receivers go get it. I mean, you're right. Tim White, Kenny Lawler. I mean, Drew Wolotarski can play. He's a good kind of almost like that tight end kind of guy almost in Winnipeg back in the day. I remember that kind of glitch catch that he made that time. That was insane. And again, this is a deep team. I think their offensive line might be there maybe a little bit of a drawback. I don't know if I trust their offensive line as much as their receiving core. Their receiving core, absolutely dangerous. Their quarterback, great. They're coming off the MOP quarterback. I mean, again, he almost won the MOP, didn't he? Get the East nomination, though, for it.
Yeah.
Greg Bill looks as a great running back and just starting in this league. I think that they've got all the pieces that they need to really show something, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Liam Dobson's a good pickup for their offensive line. I mean, he came out of Winnipeg as well. If Hamilton takes one more player from Winnipeg, they're going to be called the Hamilton Blue Tiger Cats this year, or the Tiger Bombers, or something like that, because it's ridiculous. But I still question the offensive line a little bit. Maybe it's just me, and maybe I'm wrong. But Bo Levi Mitchell's not as mobile as he used to be. He never was really a mobile quarterback, but he's way less mobile than he ever used to be. He's got to have some time to get the throws off that he wants to probably get off to Shamir Bridges, to, again, Tim White, and, of course, to Kenny Lawler, who's a deep threat at all times. But he's got to have time, and I think that's going to be the downfall of the Ticats, unless there's something that I'm not seeing. I'm trying to watch FM Fan, see if he could defend it, but he hasn't got back in the chat yet. Is the offensive line in Hamilton, I think, is their biggest concern. Trey?
I could see that. The names aren't jumping off the page. The one thing I would say, and, usually there's tons of Canadian talent at offensive line, but if you look at the Canadian talent in the receiving core, they have, I'm going to butcher name, Keaton Brugeling. You have, how I can never say Luther's last name. You know who I'm talking about, Luther H. They also have O'Leary Orange. They also have Drew Wolotarski. Keandre Smith is a Canadian. They have like 5 or 6 Canadian. Like, you could just start your Canadian receivers, and you might still have a pretty decent receiving core for Hamilton. So maybe they play a couple extra nationals. You put Lawler, Tim White, and who else? We got Bridges, and then you put 3 Canadians out there. That's a pretty dynamite receiving core still. And then that frees up a couple Americans on the offensive line. We're going to get to defense. That could free up some Americans on defense. There must be a reason why they have all these nationals on their receiving core, right? You also got Johnny Augustine as a national in the running back. Ante Litre is a national running back. There's a lot of nationals on this offense that could be starters. So maybe that opens up some American spots on that old line. And maybe that was their plan, to bring in more American offensive linemen, and they just couldn't find the right fits. Could have been anything.
Could be. I mean, they do have a few pieces in there. Coulter Woodsmansey and Brandon Revenberg. I mean, those two are good pieces in that offensive line. And they didn't give up a whole lot of sacks last season. But, yeah, I don't know. I look at it as depth-wise, and maybe it's just my Saskatchewan instincts kicking in because we always have battered offensive linemen. I don't know if the depth is quite there as some other teams. Again, David Beard is gone off to Edmonton. So I don't know. We'll see what happens here. I really do hope though that this team is going to be fun to watch no matter what because of all the receiving core on it and also their running back. I still want to see Greg Bell get the ball a lot in his hand, especially in the third, fourth quarter and when it gets cold out. Defensively, what do you see out of the Ticats, Trey?
I think this team will be pretty good on defense still. I know they maybe didn't add as much on defense, but there's just some teams that you just think about historically that have a decent defense. And I don't know why Hamilton just, hammer time. The defense, I think something about this team, again, will kind of maybe another year together. Something will click a little bit more than last year. And you know what? Maybe if that offense, starts some big long drives and stuff, that might give the defense some things. And FM fan, thank you. I just took my thought. Your strength on D is definitely the secondary, but that front seven is questionable.
Well, I mean, they did try to add to it. I mean, they got Tyvon Garbett out of, surprise, Winnipeg last season as well for the defensive line. I mean, they're trying to do something with it. But you're right. The secondary on Hamilton's is very strong. Deshaun Amos, Brandon Dozier, all of those players are very good. Jonathan Boxey, I just said he needed a change of scenery, and he got it coming from Calgary last season, I believe. Honestly, their defensive line, I could see that being a little bit of an issue. Casey Sales, though, is still a really good player, and I think that he'll do well in Hamilton. Yeah, I could see it. But you're right. The secondary is definitely where this team is going to shine. And, let's see if they become ball hawks. It'll be very interesting to see. And, FM fan mentioning also new defensive coordinator in Brent Monsoon from Calgary coming over to Hamilton. So, hey, you never know what all you can see. We won't have Chris Jones sitting on the sideline advising at least this season over in Hamilton.
Wow, whenever Belichick fires them, right, then he'll come up somewhere.
Is he really gone to North Carolina?
That's where I last saw, unless he got fired. Thought he was some special defensive, advisor.
Wonder if he found a girlfriend like Belichick.
I mean, that whole situation is wild. Anyway,
so fantasy players, I guess we should watch over in Hamilton. I mean, you want to go first?
Yeah, honestly, if Ryan doesn't, I'll drop $100 on Bo this year. I think he's got the pieces to definitely do it, especially if he stays healthy. The receiving core might be one I stay away from again because who's going to get it? It's going to be Lawler. It's going to be Bridges. It's going to be whoever. But someone's got to pass him that ball. Definitely would go with Bo. Maybe even keep an eye on Powell if Bo goes down. Powell could definitely be a good guy too, and probably cheaper on the CFL fantasy side. And running back, Greg Bell, obviously. I'm trying not to take everybody from you here, but I think anyone outside that receiving core. But if you're looking for a long shot, like I said, maybe flip a coin and just take one of those receivers. And if you notice Bo's liking a certain guy, hit that guy.
I mean, I wouldn't take Tim White for the first half of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, seems like every year that's the case. But you know what? When he gets going, he's hot. And if he gets hot quick, boy, he is a very good fantasy pick for what you need. Bo Levi Mitchell's a good one. I don't mind Bo. But the guy I'm really going to go with for Hamilton is Greg Bell. By the way, Bo's not making it where nobody's going to be spending fantasy money on him. He's getting drafted probably in one of the rounds, I think. So there's no way he's going to get $100 spent on him this year. But Greg Bell, honestly, great running back. Really looked solid last year whenever they gave him the ball. Was definitely a big piece, I think, of the Hamilton's offense. And I'd take Greg Bell if I can. We'll see what happens here, though, in the draft. Again, you can watch all of that 10:30 Eastern time on Monday evening, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Been told already that it's a full white tie, black tie affair.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Okay,
We
that's
have
our
to
East
make the
now.
picks
So
in
now
a
we're
row.
ready to do our playoff predictions.
I think we do playoff predictions for the East. What do you think?
Okay. Okay, starting with 4. You want me to do my whole thing, or yeah, we'll start with that. Start
Yeah,
with
go ahead.
4. I'll go Ottawa, but I still think they have a shot at the playoffs. Then third, let's go Toronto. Second, Montreal. First, FM fans gonna have a home playoff game in with Hamilton.
Okay, so you've got Montreal and Toronto meeting in the East semis, I believe, if I read
Yeah,
that right.
yeah,
Ottawa, you're probably sitting there and debating what you do, if you send them over to the West or not.
yeah.
West crossover? Anybody? Trey's only predicted that 2 years in a row.
I know, but I could see it again because we'll get to the West, but I have no faith in Calgary and Edmonton's a little bit more, but Edmonton might be just Edmonton, and then one of the other 3. I don't know. There's no way. Yeah. Anyway, we'll get to that.
Okay, well, I'll get to mine. It's pretty similar, to be honest with you. Ottawa, I've got in 4th. I don't think that they'll make the playoffs, so you can tell you right now, no West crossover for me. I just don't think they'll be that great. Unless something changes. Paper, they should be okay, but paper and are usually 2 different things. And I'm starting to get tired of the coaching in Ottawa. I don't think Bobby Dice is the right coach. Sorry, but just don't. Toronto, you know what? I'm going to go with Montreal number 3. I think Davis Alexander needs some time to learn the game as a starting quarterback week in, week out. And I think that's going to put them down a little bit in the beginning of the season. They're going to be tough, though. They're going to be against Toronto and everything else. And I think that, Toronto might be also just borderline of what they see there. So, so I'm going to go with Montreal number 3, Toronto number 2. I honestly think that they'll be fine. They're going to be good. We'll see how long Chad Kelly's out for. If it's a week, they'll be fine. And Hamilton, I got to go with them number 1 right now. In paper, that's a great team. I still think defensively in the lines, they may not put all the pressure to it, but otherwise, I think they're perfectly fine. So, that's what I'm going to go with. Hamilton hosts the East Final. Toronto hosts the East semis. Montreal meets them there. And Ottawa goes home early. So,
I could.
And if you don't like what our predictions are, you can come over and complain to us over at the Discord channel. You can tell us how we're all going to be completely wrong and Ottawa's going to be first. Or you can tell us how we're right. Don't matter which way. Just head over to the Discord channel. We'll talk to you over there as the season develops. Hey, we'll see how things go. Which way do you want to go from the West? Go from the West going East, or do you want to go East going West?
Let's go all the way to the Pacific so we leave the best for last. Yeah, let's go.
All right. We're going to go with the BC Lions to start all this off. I think they've got some good pieces this year again. I think that what I've always said was they needed a full training camp with Nathan Rourke to really get this going. They got a full training camp with Nathan Rourke. What do you think of the BC Lions offense this year?
I don't know why the word overrated has just been ringing in my head about BC over the last few years. Like, I think the whole Nathan Rourke, he's a good player. And maybe the full training camp, and I'll fully admit that I'm wrong. I wonder if that NFL stint ruined him a little bit. And I want, it's it could be an ego burst, right? Like, he could be an NFL quarterback. I'm not saying the talent's not there, but things get in guys' heads. There's I was talking about this the other day. We'll change the sport. UFC fighter Dominic Reyes probably should have beat John Jones. The judges kind of rigged it, and Reyes lost, like one of the best fighters in the world, lost 3 in a row. Just got in his head. He was seconds away from being a world champion. Judges kind of screwed him over. It took 2 or 3 years for him to bounce back. Nathan Rourke could be the same thing. The NFL, didn't he have that crazy game against Dallas in a preseason? Like, the way he was playing, fair enough, it was backup Dallas Cowboys. But the way he's playing and balling, you think he would have a chance. His little brother's down there making a shot. I wonder if there might just be some psychological thing in there because he didn't look the same last year. Sure, full training camp. We'll see how it goes. That's where I'm like this West crossover. I'm like something about Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, and BC. Nothing sits right about any of those three teams with me. And I'm Calgary's. Calgary's going 0-17, and as close as possible, maybe. I hate it because I really like Vernon Adams. I just think that team's got nothing else. Edmonton could be anywhere from 0 okay, maybe they'll split Edmonton. You know what I mean? If they play 3 or 4 times, maybe they'll go 2-15. But yeah, BC. I've just always thought they were overrated. Yeah, they got some good receivers in Katoy and Hatcher and all that. And the James Butler can be decent when he's used right. I just mean, if anything happens to Nathan Rourke, your backups are Jeremiah Mazzoli and whoever Chase Bryce is. Sounds like a country singer. So I don't know.
I'm looking at this and I'm going to say that Nathan Rourke's the year to really show if he's going to be the Hall of Fame quarterback that should deserve a spot in the Hall of Fame and should be the anointed king of the CFL is this season. He has no excuse. He's got a offensive or a head coach that's an old quarterback that should know what he's talking about to go and mentally calm him down in Buck Pierce. There's no excuse on that side. He had a full training camp with all of his receivers. There's no excuses there. The only thing I could see with BC is their offensive line going to be good enough to hold so that Nathan Rourke, and again, Nathan Rourke has proven that he can move the football and be a mobile quarterback. So maybe this isn't such as big of a concern. But when they're spending all the dollars on 2 big players, we'll talk about the defensive one after. But they spent a lot of money on Nathan Rourke, and they, I think, are suffering a little bit in certain places like their offensive line. Their receivers are good until, you're right, FM fan, you get out of the depth chart, you have to go down it a little bit. The receiver starters are good. You're right. McInnes is good. Hollins is good. Rhymes, Katoy, Hatcher, even I'll put Ebelhart in there as well. They're definitely all solid, good receivers that'll work for you. Once you get past that, though, I don't know. Again, you look at some of these names: McGee, John, Hatton, Gibson, Davis. I'm just looking. Stanley Berryhill, I've heard of. Otherwise, Preston Smith, Ezekiel Titi. I've never heard of some of these guys. I'm hoping they're good for him, and I'm sure that our buddy Brandon Saunders will be talking about a few of them probably in the Discord channel eventually. But I don't know. I got some questions with their offense and their receivers and their offensive line. Running back, though, should be fine. They got James Butler back. James Butler's a good running back. Their quarterback, there's no excuses. He should be good. But yeah, those are the 2 pieces I think that I'd be very concerned about the BC lines, offensive line, receiver.
You know what my crazy take is? If they never brought back Nathan Rourke last year, either they let him go somewhere else and they just rode VA and it was his locker room, everything else the same, I bet they would have been in the Grey Cup. I honestly, I think so, because I think something messed up that locker room when the team was all behind. You could kind of tell that the team was behind VA, and it was kind of weird. And you come and pay the guy over $500,000 and whatever, and what were they, like 100,000 over the salary cap or whatever they were? Something just messed up that locker room, and maybe they wouldn't have been in the Grey Cup, but they would have been a heck of a lot more competitive, I think, in the playoffs if they just, and I get why they did it. I think, again, you have to get the guy back. You have to get, I guess, bored in Victoria, even though we never really lived there. I guess you have to do all that stuff, but like at what expense? I think it ruined their locker room. They went however many over the salary cap. They lost draft picks. Oh, great. Snoop Dogg's halftime. I mean, cool, but I personally would take a championship ring over Snoop Dogg being halftime. Just me, but I like football over the music. Great. The music brings in new fans. Cool. Not arguing that. And I'd love to see Snoop Dogg because he's probably going to be stoned out of his mind for the whole day. And he's already got a good relationship with Canada, being on the Trailer Park Boys, and he had that viral video of him watching CFL football from like 6 or 7 years ago. But I think that I think they should have been a little bit more focused on putting this team together than maybe the halftime of the opening game. Because you're right, a couple receivers get hurt. Nathan Rourke gets hurt. But holy, I'm having a brain fart kind of day. Butler gets hurt. Who the hell is their backups? It's a very thin depth, it looks like, kind of team.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't think they were making the Grey Cup either way they went. Vernon Adams, yes, the locker room got messed up a little bit there, but Vernon Adams was hurt. And I don't think they were going to make it either way. If they had to put their backup at that time, I think it was Jake Dolagala. I mean,
yeah,
come on. They're not making the playoffs no matter which way.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. I kind of forgot about the injuries. I just meant if it was VA's team, running into the playoffs, and let's say he was fully healthy, I think that would have fared a lot better. Head to head, I'd take Nathan Rourke over VA. But in certain situations, hey, you might actually want to take the veteran guy who has the locker room. But
no, agreed. I agree with you. I think that probably the better bet was VA to go with last season. But again, when you got a guy that's Canadian, which is I don't think it breaks ratio yet. But
no, it doesn't count yet. No.
That CBA's coming, and I think it's going to probably come in there. And you know what? Honestly, the marketing is there for that. You have such an opportunity. I mean, yes, they paid him a lot, but I'm saying this year has got to be put up or shut up for BC, because if Nathan Rourke comes out and he looks flat, this team's going to be in big trouble very quickly.
Yeah, you're going to put Mazzoli in?
Honestly, though, I don't see Nathan Rourke. I think, again, FM fan has been talking about Matthew Betts, and we're going to talk about the defense in a minute. But honestly, training camp does wonders. When you're in a full training camp for a full time and you're starting week one, as you know what's going on, and this is what we talked about in camp and everything for the last month, that helps a lot.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
I think that's what Nathan Rourke needs. But that being said, you might be right. Maybe there's something with him in the head. But hopefully they have the right quarterback and head coach in Buck Pierce to settle that right away, because it will need to be settled fast if it is an issue. Let's move on to the defensive side of the football, so we're not here all night.
Yeah, we got to get a couple more teams going here.
Yeah, exactly. We do have one big player that they've signed again to a contract extension, that being Matthew Betts. I mean, yes, he did come back from Detroit halfway through the season, about the same time as Nathan Rourke, to be honest. Did he look good? No. Looked terrible. Then again, I'm going to say training camp, got a whole season, knows what the plan is. I think he'll be okay. What do you think of the defense this year for BC there, Trey?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you want to give Nathan Rourke benefit, you got to give Matthew Betts the benefit. Defensive line, you could argue the offensive line's better in the NFL, but you know what? Guess what? You don't have to give a yard. And that's what you're used to. You're used to lining up right next to the guy. You get that little closer. Now CFL, you got to go back. It'll take some time to readjust to that. Defense in a whole, they're kind of a weird one where, again, nothing jumps out the page to me. There's not they got some decent pieces, Matthew Betts, a couple other guys. But I don't know. This is another team that I could see if they want to win, they're going to have to score 40, or high 30s sometimes, I think, to win, especially against a couple other teams in the West, maybe even the East. But is there some names that jump off to you?
A couple names that I can really bring in the linebacking core that I can see. Fair. I mean, Bletton Halak has been a very good linebacker for them for a very long time. Same thing with Adam Konar. You do have a few pieces in there for national that look good, as well as also American Micah Awe. He was with Saskatchewan before. So, right. I mean, those are two names I can bring out that I could see are really pretty decent. Defensive back, Gary Peters has been okay and been well serviceable. And Jalen Edwards Cooper, He had a brief stint with Saskatchewan, got hurt, came back as a BC Lion, and I think he looked pretty decent last season. But you're right. Everything revolves pretty much along this defensive line. Matthew Betts, Nathan Cherry, two national defensive linemen. That's a big piece to have for the BC Lions. And that's what they're going to rely on to probably go and ratio break a little bit. I think it's a big piece. I think it'll help them. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. Overall, I think they're a pretty decent team in the defensive side of the football. Would I call them an all-star team? I don't know. They've got pieces. They definitely be good. I think this is a kind of an average team, kind of in the league this year, just by the way this is built up. Even though I shouldn't be saying that because they had probably arguably the most outstanding Canadian receiver, and I got a guy in the defense that's 2 years removed from being the most outstanding defensive player. So I don't know. BC is going to be interesting to watch. Who's a few fantasy players that you want to, or a fantasy player you want to bring up on BC's side?
Want to hear something crazy? If I had to pick one of the 9 teams as a no-go, I'd go BC. I don't want to touch anyone on BC. Like I know that triple-headed monster receiving core. Maybe Nathan Rourke could go off. I want to see a few weeks. Like I guess you go with Nathan Rourke, but the price is going to kill you. Maybe Butler if you need a running back. But yeah, I think really it's not a team I will have any interest in.
If I have to pick a player on BC, probably it's Justin McInnes. I mean, just because again, national in the fantasy draft, I know where Ryan is going to go early. He's going to go national receivers because he always does. And then I get upset because he took them. And then I have to go, or he's going to wait till the very end to pull out some name that I was thinking of, but probably didn't pick. So, yeah, Justin McInnes is a good one. James Butler is going to be a pretty good one, especially if Nathan Rourke needs to settle things down pretty early. And, of course, if you got to pick him on CFL Fantasy, he's going to be really, really expensive. It's going to be Nathan Rourke. He's going to be expensive. You know he will be. But, yeah, I don't mind James Butler. I don't mind Justin McInnes. And if you really want to throw an out to left field one, Abel Hart wouldn't be a bad one either, I don't think. So, moving on. Where do you want to go, north or south first?
Let's go to the double E's.
You want to go to the Edmontons?
Yeah.
All
Those
right.
pesky Elks.
Well, they did a lot of off-season work. We all know that. Also probably annoyed every team or every player in the league. Thanks, Ed Hervey. Definitely the bad boys of the CFL right at the moment. Offensively, quarterback, it looks like it'll be Trey Ford for the starting job. What's your thoughts on Ford?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got to get the reins and go. I think maybe Bethel Thompson wasn't the right guy behind him, and Fajardo, I'm assuming it's going to be the player coach kind of backup kind of situation. Will play, like, obviously I think Cody wants to play, but I think also, understands that he's got to have to nurture the young guy here. And I think Fajardo, would be a better mentor than Bethel Thompson. But yeah, I wonder, my big thing is I always wonder this. It's the same thing in kind of Montreal and now here in Edmonton. What's the leash though? Fajardo is a lot better than Jeremiah Mazzoli. So you're going to give Nathan Rourke, the most leash ever. How much does Trey Ford get with a Cody Fajardo behind him? Is kind of my thoughts.
I'm looking at this team again. It's the same built as it was how many years already for how many times. They've got a good running back system in Justin Rankin and Javon Leake back there as well in special teams or running back when you do need them. But Justin Rankin's a great running back. Dunbar Jr., Gittins Jr., Alexander Hollins comes over from BC. You've got all the pieces there to make it. Taysom Middlemost, I think he was out of BC as well last year. They've got all the pieces they need to be a great team. Trey Ford can do it. He can run a lot. But that's the thing. I don't like quarterbacks that can just want to run right away and don't worry about making the throw. I like a quarterback that looks and tries to read 2-3 reads. If he can't get it, then okay, fair enough, run. It still seems to be like Trey Ford is one of those that sees the one play, doesn't work, okay, I'm running. And that's not a recipe for success in the CFL as far as I'm concerned. Uh, I I think they're going to give him a long leash. I really do, because they signed him, they brought him back. They must have given him some promises to get him to sign for 2 years, I would think. Uh, I think he's got a chance to be the starting quarterback in Edmonton. But Cody Fitzgerald was there, and he knows. I'm hoping that puts some pressure on Trey Ford to really go and study the playbook, make your passes when you can make them, and you do have the receivers to make those passes to. And if nothing else, you got a running back that can really move the football. But the last little part again is with Edmonton, their last few years, their offensive line has been atrocious. And I don't see very much improvement in this offensive line. What do you think, Trey?
No, I kind of agree with that. I mean, I felt like the offensive line market was kind of a tough one this offseason, right? So, I mean, it's another weird position. The Canadian offensive lineman has been traditionally really overpaid. Now there's more talent positions for Canadians. So that, I felt like, the offensive line market was kind of weird this year. And I mean, there's no offensive line across the board that I'm really impressed with. So, I mean, I'll put Edmonton in the mix, I guess.
Just reading a question here from FM Fan. Here's a question with the whole training camp thing. Would that give the team enough time to mesh together with how many players the Edmonton Elks brought in? That's a good question. I think receivers that they brought in, it's not going to make a big issue. They know where their plays are, and they know their routes. They'll know how to run them. Reading a playbook, okay, fair enough. Offensive lineman, it's going to take a little bit of time to know where one guy is and the other guy is. I mean, David Beard and bringing in Brett Boyko and David Beard in there, yeah, that could make a little bit of a challenge for a little bit there. And again, some other new offensive linemen in that team. So, and hey, you've got a quarterback that's a fairly dynamic quarterback that likes to run a lot. Could be interesting. Plus, your backup is a new quarterback. And you've got a new coach in Mark Killam. You've got a lot of new pieces, you're right, in Edmonton. And I think like a team like BC that's been there before and been together kind of before. Again, Nathan Rourke kind of knows what the BC process is. A little different than what Edmonton's dealing with. It's going to take them a week or two, I think, at least. And we'll see what happens. But I think that the defensive side of the football, though, Trey, I think over in Edmonton is looking real strong once again.
No, I agree. I think they got the best, one of the best defensive players out there in the market in Tyrell Ford. I think that leaves a big hole in Winnipeg. They got Serezna on the D line. I really like Edmonton. Edmonton's a tough one. On paper, again, I think they're a lot better and could be competing. It's just that Edmonton curse of, 2 or 3 years not winning at home. I'm joking. It's all tongue in cheek, but the name curse, is that going to continue? Is the double E really going to change anything? Is bringing that sign that says once a whatever, always a whatever? Is any, it kind of be funny if they start winning, but at the same time, I wonder if the curse will continue. But yeah, their defense looks a lot better. I think there's not one guy on a defense can change it as much. Like, it's not like hockey or even basketball where one guy can change the game completely. But I think Tyrell Ford definitely adds a whole different dynamic to this defense.
And I mean, they've added a lot of. This is going to take this defense. If there's anyone that's going to have a little bit of a time to get adjusted to everybody, it could be this defense. I mean, you got Jake Serezna back from Toronto. Brandon Barlow, I think he was there last year. I'm not sure. Jonathan Kongbo. Royce Mechie, he was with Toronto last year. As you said, Tyrell Ford, he's in there last year. Their linebacking core, though, I think is still one of the strengths with them. Joel DeBlanco, I think he's going to be actually a pretty good player eventually. Niles Morgan, I mean, last year he was one of the leaders in tackles. If I'm not mistaken, he was right along. Who was the other guy that I thought had a lot of tackles? Nick Anderson was the other guy for Edmonton that had a pile of tackles last season. Be very interesting to see those guys go. So I think their linebacking core is really good. I think their defensive line got a little better with Jake Serezna there. And I think their backfield, you're right. I think with Tyrell Ford and with Mechie there, boy, that's a pretty good defensive core. Edmonton's going to be a tough team to play against. I just wonder how many points they're going to score, in all honesty. Fantasy players, let's take a look. And who do you think on Edmonton's team that you would want to take as a fantasy player?
I'd be interested in Trey Ford. I know you said he's too much run first sometimes, but that can pick up fantasy points too if you're picking up first downs with that. He might not want to make the difficult throw and maybe not as an interception. I know he's kind of had a lot of interceptions in the past, but I think that would maybe be one way I might lean. The running back's tough because you could put Leak or Rankin in, but maybe either guy gets. I would wait a week or two to see who kind of gets the bulk of the carries, and then receiving core. I really, if you want the national, Gittens Jr., I think he's been a little quiet since coming to Edmonton. Maybe has a little bit of a breakout. But yeah, and Alexander Hollins too, new team. You never know. Maybe he gets some gel going with Tyrell Ford.
Can't pick a receiver in this team because I just don't trust Tyrell Ford to throw the ball very much. Not Tyrell Ford, Trey Ford. Man, I'm getting bad at names. This is going to mess me up all season, isn't it? Anyways, yeah, I won't take a receiver on Edmonton's team.
And there's also another. I was saying there's another DB with the last name Ford too on Edmonton.
No,
so
man, come on. They just pick on me. Anyways, Justin Rankin. Honestly, I'm taking him if I get a shot at him as a running back. Great running back. I think they're going to hand the ball quite a bit to him, and I think he's going to be the rock for Edmonton going through this season. Although I did say that about Kevin Brown, and I know that Ryan was real high on Kevin Brown back in the day. But, yeah, he's in Toronto, and I think he's sitting behind what's his name there? Kadeem Carey. So interesting. Anyways, we'll see what Justin Rankin can do. I think he's probably one of the picks I'll make. Yeah, I don't know about the rest of it for Edmonton. Well, I guess we're going to go travel down the Queen Elizabeth II and head over to Calgary. One of the teams that you're really not expecting a whole lot out of, Trey. What do you think of their offense? Let's start it there.
I mean, Vernon Adams had to get out of BC. There was no spot for him there, but I don't know. Watch me be completely wrong, and I'll eat my words because watch Calgary be Calgary. But just something about their team. I really like Jalen Philpott too if he stays healthy. I know Bagleton plays, but there's just something about him too where I kind of feel overrated. This receiving core could be better. Their running backs right now looks like what is Antwi, kind of the guy. Maybe Dedrick Mills, Vernon Adams. Like it depends on which VA you get. Do you get the one in BC or do you kind of get the one? From a few years ago, didn't we have DT on and he was talking about how VA is not it? Do we get that VA, the VA that throws 5 picks a game, or do we get the one who, it all depends. I think PJ Walker is overrated. Bonner, hopefully never sees the field again this year. Like there's just not a lot on this offense that I'm thrilled for. The only thing I'm excited for is in our fantasy league, the podcast one. The other Ryan, he's probably going to pick all his Sam Peters, and he's going to go 0-17 as well. So that's the only thing I'm looking forward to with this team.
I'm almost the same way, except for one thing here. Their offense, if you look at their quarterback, yeah, Vernon Adams is a great quarterback. And PJ Walker, as much as we're kind of laughing at him, he does make some good throws. He has that odd interception that he just throws. I don't know why. But nevertheless, I think they got a good 1-2 quarterback system. And I do absolutely love their backup, their third down quarterback. Quincy Vaughn, 6'4", 251 pounds.
That's fair.
Run that down the hole and see what happens to anybody standing in his way. Anyways, I really want to see that more than anything is Quincy Vaughn getting the football. Their receivers are probably some of the best in the league. I keep criticizing them, but their receiver core is very, very good. You got Jalen Philpott, who's bound to have a season one of these years and just absolutely light it up. Dominic Grimes has got a chip on his shoulder, I'm sure, from being on Ottawa's team and not doing a whole lot last season. Malik Henry's back. Reggie Bagleton's back. Cam Eccles had his moments last year that I thought he was okay on. Kevin Jones, the number 6 receiver, allegedly, compared to Ryan's rankings there last year in Edmonton for the CFL. That receiver is a really good receiver. And Clark Barnes, national, I thought he looked decently. So their receiving core is really good. Their quarterback is really good. Their offensive line is terrible. I don't see anything on that offensive line that instills any confidence in me. And their running back room, I think it'll be Dedrick Mills. It might be, you're right, it might be Jeswan Antwi. I don't know which way they're going to go. Maybe Antwi for the special teams play on 3rd and 10 and they got to go and make a punt.
Right.
Otherwise, I don't know. I think, honestly, if Calgary can get the football off, they're a good team. Can they get the football off? Remains to be seen, I guess. Defensive side of the football. They do anything really that impressed you this year?
I don't know. I'm just disgusted by Calgary. I thought other than when they signed VA, I was like, ooh, they're going to go all out, kind of pull like what Hamilton did. But no, I mean, maybe they tried and just nobody wanted to come to Calgary. I mean, I don't know. But I'm not, I don't know. Am I missing something? Who did they pick up on defense? Did they pick up anybody?
Damon Webb was really good in Ottawa. I thought he was actually probably pretty decent. Who is the other one that I seen on here? Godfrey Onyeka, he was pretty decent with Saskatchewan last season. Tyler Richardson, I guess, the defensive back for them. I thought he was pretty good with, I think it was Toronto. And then Derek Moncrief. But, I mean, 31 years old, and he really didn't do a whole lot in Edmonton. I don't know. He might be decent defensive back. We'll see. I think he more plays linebacker than anything. I don't know why they got listed as defensive back. But their line, I don't have any real faith with unless I'm missing somebody that I kind of don't miss here. But I don't know. Edmonton or Calgary here, they're definitely not looking the strongest that they should, especially on the defense.
I agree.
Yeah. There ain't a whole lot to say on sometimes like these guys. It just, I'm not sure what you could say. I can guarantee, though, that the Horseman's podcast, if you listen to another member of the two CFL Football Podcast Network, I'm sure Ryan is probably over there and saying how they're going to go 18-0. Mm-hmm. He'll defend it. He'll figure out a way of defending it. I'd like to see how. I really might have to listen into that one. But yeah, guess nobody wanted to go there, right, FM fan? The cold breakfast is just not a popular thing, I guess, in Calgary. Fantasy players to watch. I'll go first just for the fun of it. I mean, I'm going to take Rennie Paredes if you guys are going to leave him open in our fantasy draft. Yeah. It'll be 3 years in a row, but he might be busy this season.
You took my guy, and maybe I'll take the horse if they line up in the gate at any time. That's about it.
So pick 6 and Rennie Paredes. Nice. Yeah, sorry, Calgary fans. Tried to make it a little more optimistic, and it ain't. I mean, like I said, great receiving core. I think you got probably one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Is he going to stay upright? Who knows?
We don't need to talk about the last two, do we? We can just wrap it up.
Yeah, we can just skip those. Who cares about those two teams? Nobody likes them. I guess let's travel down Highway 1 and make a quick stop in Saskatchewan.
Let's crack these out quick because it's an hour and a half. I told you it was going to be a 3-hour show with just the two of us, and we still got to wrap up.
And we still got to make our predictions yet.
Yeah, so let's just wrap it up. Olette's awesome. Shake and bake if he's healthy. Awesome. Mario Alfred. Let's get some kick returns and yeah. What else? Tommy Stevens in short yardage. I think the team's set pretty good, don't you?
Yeah, it's set good, and you said the big thing though, if healthy. Yeah, I mean, Saskatchewan's already got Philippe Gagnon out probably for the season. They got Mark McEwen, a big signing of theirs, out for the season. Philippe Gagnon is not technically out for the season, but he's again probably done. He torn biceps. I think he's done for the season. who was the other one that I was hearing? Tavon Campbell's been banged up. Keyshawn Schaefer-Baker is already banged up. Yeah, I don't know. Saskatchewan just goes crazy when it's football season. What can I say? I'm worried about the offensive line in Saskatchewan again. It's always injured. It's always the same thing. I think they're probably going to have to move. Oh, I don't know if they're going to move one of their their offensive lineman of the year last year to center right off the bat, because I think Gagnon was McEwen, the guy that was going to be the center. Nevertheless, they lost Peter Godber during free agency. Yeah, they could really use one. They brought back Noah Zur because they had to. Yeah, Saskatchewan's banged up already. Season hasn't even started. But they've got the receiving core. They've got the running backs. They've got enough of an offensive line right now. Zach Fry's looked good in training camp, from what I've heard. They've got the right pieces. In paper, this should be a team that competes for a Grey Cup. But if it stays healthy. If it doesn't, I wouldn't be betting my ant farm on Saskatchewan or my real farm or any farm in Saskatchewan right now until this team proves that they can stay healthy. Otherwise, I need to watch out my back door in case I all of a sudden get recruited to the offensive line blender that is the Rough Riders. Defensively, you want to go on there first, Trey?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm just going to pick through quick. I don't mind their defense as well. You got some decent pieces on I like your pieces on the secondary anyway. You got Revis, Sales, a couple other guys, Milligan. I'm trying to think of names that jump out at me here. Trayvon Campbell. You say he's banged up again? If he's healthy, I don't mind this defense. The Rough Rider defense has been pretty. You got Malik Carney on the D line. Who else you got? Yeah. I like your pieces here. Mika Johnson. Is he the guy that played both ways? Yeah, maybe he has to play both ways again this year. Who knows? I actually really like your defense. And someone else way earlier asked to talk about Shane Ray. Do you have anything to add about him?
I will look him up and find out a little bit about him.
Okay, I was just curious because somebody asked us about him way back when we were talking Eastern. Can you talk about Shane Ray, Saskatoon? But I'm assuming he meant Saskatchewan.
Yeah, let me just take a look. Shane Ray is a defensive lineman for the Rough Riders. He is born in Kansas City. What else can I tell you about American? I don't know. He hasn't played a whole lot. Played last 2 years in Toronto. Had 13 tackles last year, 6 sacks. Might be really, really good, and I'm not knowing who this guy is right at the moment. I'll tell you how he does.
I was just curious how he popped up. It was asked earlier, and maybe I didn't recognize the name. Maybe a U.S. fan, just curious. Definitely spent some time in the NFL.
Yeah,
before coming up here.
Saskatoon. From what I've heard, he sounds like a good player. He's got Micah Johnson on his side. He's got some really good defensive line pieces. Baldonado, I think, is a really good one. That's a global player and a defensive lineman. I think he has looked really good. Don't ask me to say his first name. That's scary. But Malik Carney, Charnel DeBeer, Micah Johnson, and like you said, Shane Ray, Mike Rose as well. That's a deep defensive line core. Caleb Sanders, Ali Saad. That was a first-round draft pick for the Rough Riders. They're deep in their defensive line. Linebacker, I think. Malik Straker has really made his case to stay on this team. Nick Weeb, he's a U of S player from the University of Saskatchewan. There's some good players on this team too. Jameer Thurman, he's a wily veteran, but he knows what he's doing. And then, like I say, when you look over in the secondary, Jackson Ford has looked really good this training camp from what I've been told. DeMarcus Fields, again, good camp from what I've heard. Nelson Lacombo had a little bit of injury issues. And, of course, Roland Milligan Jr. is in there too. This should be one of the more dynamic defenses of the league this season. Again, it all depends on healthy. And that should be with any team that we're talking about here. If a team's healthy, they can go a long ways down the road. If they aren't, I don't know. Fantasy players to talk about for Saskatchewan. That black bear from my house for the offensive line. I would love to, but I don't think that's legal. Anyways, fantasy players. I think the only one that I really wanted to bring up for you guys, if you wanted a kind of a sleeper pick, Keyshawn Johnson, really cheap right now, $3,500. I looked him up because I've already got him in for week 1 of my fantasy. Yeah, Keyshawn Johnson's a great player, and I think he's going to be a really good pick for a wide receiver for Saskatchewan this season. And I did bring up one more player there in the when we were going through our top 10 wide receivers in the league. Dante Myers. He didn't do much in Winnipeg last week. He had a few drops, I thought. Didn't look so great. I think he's really still going to be a pretty good player in this league. Keep an eye on him. I wouldn't say pick him up right away, but keep an eye. Trey, anybody from Saskatchewan you're looking at besides Ouellette?
Oh yeah, I got my boy Ouellette. If you want it, I kind of maybe look at Neal or Picton receiving core if you're willing to spend a little bit more money. Definitely like the couple picks you had. If return yards count, maybe Mario Alfred. McCray did some return yards last year too, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I kind of like the receiving core. Shaker Baker's always a good one too, but he's really expensive on the league, and if he's healthy, he always has a breakout game, especially against the Bombers. So when they play the Bombers, maybe go with him.
I'm going to go and make a bold prediction right now. Mario Alford is going to get cut after this game here against Winnipeg. I think Dre McCray did enough to win himself the job. We'll see what happens here tomorrow night. If Dre McCray looks terrible and makes like 3 drops and fumbles and everything else, yeah, maybe Mario Alford makes the team. Otherwise, I think it's Dre McCray's job to lose right at the moment. Just my opinion.
That's crazy though. Like he's doing pretty good. But that's crazy. Where Alfred, a year ago, was everyone's comparing him to be top with Grant in the return game, and just one. I mean that's the business, I guess, but kind of crazy.
Well, but the thing is, Alfred is a one-dimensional. You got to use him for returns. He does not work well as a receiver, and I think Saskatchewan wants somebody that's multifaceted, and I think Dre McCray might give that to him. So that's why I'm going to say unless McCray has a terrible game tomorrow night, I think it'll be probably Mario Alford that's going to be seeing the chopping block in Saskatchewan. And maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? I'm not an insider, so be cool if I could say that was, but no. Anyways, I guess we got to move down the Highway 1 again and talk about the Winnipeg Strevlers.
Man, don't get me started. He looked good. I don't care, and I hope he looks good tomorrow too to shut you up. But yeah, the Bombers. I'll kick this off. Bombers. I do. This is for another time because we have time. I don't know why they're re-signing somebody for another year, but whatever. I said number 1 quarterback this year, not next year. But all aside, I think they got a lot of receivers on their roster right now. They got to make some cuts because I don't know who's getting cut in this receiving core. There's some guys, you got Stearns, two Mitchells, Dylan Mitchell and Myron Mitchell, both I think made some catches last week. Reggie White Jr. You got Dembski, obviously, who never played. I'm really interested to see Gavin Cobb. He was in Edmonton last year, Manitoba boy. A couple other guys. Really interested in the running back game. Quinton Cooley had a pretty good game week 1 of the preseason. 5'7", 210 pounds. What they call him, the pickup truck? Or they had a nickname for him that they were talking about on the after game show. Doug Brown, it was like something silly. Really, but again, is he going to get a lot of playing time because he's an American and you're probably going to lean on Brady Oliveira? But they also have Peyton Logan, who's an American, so maybe they, keep that, make the running back position not a necessarily good one. Trey, outside of Dembski and Schoen, who would you say is their upcoming receivers? Honestly, I'm very interested in Wheatfall. I'm also interested in seeing, I can never say his name, Clercius, Kevin's Clercius. And also, I really think Gavin Cobb could be a potential good game breaker on this team as well. Stearns looked good too. I actually don't mind this offense, all considering. Their O-line didn't look terrible. I know it was a preseason game, didn't look terrible. And Caleros and Strevler actually looked pretty decent in a preseason game. So I know, Collaros hasn't started many preseason games the last couple of years. That's what he got ridiculed for last year. Didn't start and then had that terrible start of the year. He didn't look bad, and Streveler went 5 for 5 to start his time, and I think he ended not too bad. He threw it okay at him. You can grin, you keep that in all you want. I'm actually quite happy about this offense and how they look right now. And I'll admit my homer's kind of showing right now, but I didn't shit talk the Riders. I said they were good.
You know what? Honestly, though, I believe you're right. I mean, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers did look pretty good in that preseason game. Straveler did look really good. And they're going to need him for the first week because Zach Collaros is suspended. That being said, on the receiving core, I'm actually kind of amazed because one of the Mitchells is getting cut. Myron Mitchell actually, I think, has the inside edge right now over Dylan Mitchell. Dylan Mitchell looked poor against the Flyers in that week 1 game or in that preseason game. Overall, though, I mean, Dalton Schoen's going to play this week a little bit. I'm sure he's not going to play for very long. Nick Dembski, again, just to go and show that he can play in Saskatchewan like he always does. There's a lot of pieces in here. Gavin Cobb, I think, will probably make this team. There'll be a few strange cuts. Reggie White Jr. actually looked okay too for Winnipeg during the game. The one that I was really impressed on the offensive side of the football, though, for the Blue Bombers, you did bring him up, was Quentin Cooley. That guy looks like a little mini D dozer. I mean, that was amazing how he was punching holes. And I mean, what is he for size? Like 5'4"?
5'7". They officially 5'7", 210, but I'm pretty sure in the after game, the post game, he said he was at least 220 or 230. I thought. And again, I can't think of the Shuttle Bus. That's it, Shuttle Bus. That's his little nickname.
5'7", 230. Good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, he's not taking over for Brady Oliveira, but I mean, as a backup, man, that's not bad. I don't mind him. And maybe all of a sudden you see Peyton Logan sent down the road just because of it. Again, I don't know if I really like the idea of Zach Collaros being the anointed quarterback of this team, essentially, for 17 full games, I guess, because he's going to play right after he's off his suspension. I don't know. That could be the weakness of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And their offensive line is starting to get a little bit older, right? I mean, you got Patrick Neufeld, the same age as I am, 36. You got Chris Kolenkelski, 33 years old. You've got Stanley Bryant, who's 39 years old. I mean, this is an old offensive line. And again, Mother Time has never been defeated. Or is it Father Time? Nevertheless, it's never been defeated. I'm hoping that they have the pieces in there to go and back up those pieces. Like I said, Neufeld and Bryant and Kolegeski. But I don't know. That would be a little bit of a concern for me for the Bombers. Their receiving core looks good. Their running game is probably the best in the league if it isn't. I mean, national running back like Brady Oliveira made every other team try to bring a national in, essentially. Because they want to be like Winnipeg. But quarterback, offensive line, a little bit off, I think, a little bit. Defensive side of the football, what's going on over there, Trey?
Obviously the big hole with Tyrell Ford leaving that secondary, but I'm still liking it. I don't mind. They got a couple good pieces in there still. They have, where was I looking here? On their secondary, they got Evan Holm, who's been okay. Nick Hallett's been okay. I think of names here. Tyrell Bonds, that's a name that's definitely jumped off a few times. And then, of course, they got their linebacking core. Where was I seeing it here? Oh, Kyrie Wilson's been okay. Oh, who else am I'm missing somebody here. What's going on? Whatever. And I don't mind their defensive line still. Jefferson's getting up there. Jake Thomas is getting up there mid-30s. But, they actually played pretty well, on the preseason game. Who am I missing? Jones, here we go. Linebacker. Cramdry, Jones, Goche. I don't mind their linebacking core as well. kind of sucks, but they actually have a pretty good middle linebacking core with Big Hill being gone too. So for the most part, I think they filled in the spots that they've left. Maybe again, Tyrell Ford's kind of a hard guy to replace, but I think that Dietrich Nichols is pretty good out there too. So I think they've got some good pieces in their defense. So it's going to be bend, don't break, and they're going to give up 400 yards in the air, but somehow they'll get like a strip sack at the goal line or a third and goal stop. I think it's still going to be how the Bombers get their bread and butter on defense.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Jake Thomas is a big piece for them in the D line. Again, Willie Jefferson is Willie Jefferson. He's still 6'7". He hasn't shrunk yet that I know of. Cameron Lawson is a big piece in there. I think all of those are really good for him in there. Jonathan Jones, of course, he filled in right away. Shane Gauthier has been good. If you want to watch actually some of the defensive backs, so I think that this team might be a little bit more stiff on the passing game. Nick Hallett and Evan Holm both looked really good last year. Terrell Bonds as well, defensive back. He looked really well as well. And we'll see if Ethan Ball can make this team on special teams. Fantasy players to watch. Yes, I'm going through this quickly, but who's the fantasy player that you got to watch, if you got anybody?
I would spend $1,000 on Brady Oliveira. And that's, the receiving core there's so many players right now. Like we said, we don't even know who's going to get cut. So I can't really pick anything on the receiving core. Ain't going to go with Caleros. Only thing I might go with Strevler is if he has one of those games where he gets like 3 touchdowns on the goal line. Maybe play one of those secret little things. Outside of that, I think I'm just going to go with Oliveira on this team.
Yeah, it's Brady Oliveira all the way on this team. I can see that too. If you're taking a receiver, go with Dalton Schoen, I guess. He's going to be expensive, but he's one of those names that is going to always catch the football. And, he wouldn't be a bad pick also, I don't think. And you know what? Honestly, I wouldn't mind the Winnipeg defense. It's got enough pieces in there that I think it could be pretty solid when it needs to be. The defensive backs, I think, will get you a few good interceptions this year. And the line still is strong enough that it'll push. I think that wouldn't be a bad pick as well. Every so often, I don't know, depending on the team they're playing, though. And defense is such a weird thing to pick. But it's already almost been an hour and 48 minutes here. Let's get into the predictions of the West and what we're thinking here.
Okay, starting at 5, Calgary. 4. You know what? Give me BC at 4. Edmonton will get a little bump. They'll get into the playoffs at 3, or at least be competing with Ottawa for that spot. Oh, man. You know what? Shoot. You know what? I'll have to put Rough Riders second still and Winnipeg first. I think it's going to be close, though. This will be 11-7, 10-8 kind of and then 9-9 kind of territory, I think, for the top 3. Or 12-11-10 kind of thing, or 10, maybe even not even that, because I think the East might be very tough. So maybe the West will just be 9-9 and at the top, and it'll come down to head-to-head matchup. You?
Well, I've got number 6 as the Calgary Stampeders.
6.
They're just bad.
Yeah.
I don't honestly. You got a quarterback, you got a wide receiver. Congratulations, I guess. No, honestly, I don't see the Stampeders doing much. BC and Edmonton are going to be close. It's going to be 8-10, 9-9. It's one of those that one team is just going to make it, one team is just not going to make it, and they're going to have to either travel to Saskatchewan or Winnipeg. I'm going to go with Edmonton being number 4 still. I like their offensive linemen. BC, I think, are the better offensive linemen, so I'll give them number 3. I think Nathan Rourke has a better season. Yeah, this is the same thing. I have a hard time predicting between these two teams. Winner of the preseason game gets second tomorrow night. So I'm going to go with Winnipeg number 2, Saskatchewan number 1, and it's going to be between 1 point. It's 1 or 2 points. I don't know which way it's going to work.
They could be tied and it goes to head or something
It's
if we
going to
play
go to
three.
head-to-head or something like
something like
yeah.
that. Like I think that's what it's going to be. I could even see BC and Edmonton still only being a game or two behind them. I just have a feeling, the West might be kind of what the East has been, where 10-8 is going to get you home, and 9-9 might be enough for a playoff spot. You just got to be careful of a crossover or what else is going on. But I can't see Calgary doing a heck of a lot this year. I hate to say it because that's such a waste for VA. I do truly think he could be one of the best quarterbacks in this league, but that's what happens.
No, I agree with you. I think he went to the wrong team. I think if he would have went to somewhere like Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, even Edmonton, BC. Well, I couldn't go back to BC. But if he would have went to one of those, could you imagine Vernon Adams in Winnipeg right now?
Yep, I could a lot. Very easy to imagine that, and I think that's the perfect quarterback type because he can throw and he can run, he can move. So the O line breaks down, he can get out of the way. You got Oliveira, you got the receiving core. You got a very talented receiving core too. If Vernon Adams is on the run, they're gonna be able to get in the open field. Like I think I said that last year that I wanted Winnipeg to go after him and not to re-sign. Like maybe it's all my fault. I made Collaros number one, and the Bombers said, "Oh, he's the number one quarterback, so we better re-sign him for an extra year."
Yeah, I'm sure that they're watching this podcast, and if you are, well, hey, nice to meet you, Kyle Walters. Hope you're doing well. Anyways, honestly, I would have had VA in Saskatchewan. I mean, he's a great quarterback. He was in Saskatchewan at one time, but I'd love to have him back. He was a good quarterback, good community guy, good just generally a really good quarterback. Am I thinking that Trevor Harris is going to live? And again, like I said before, injuries. Is he going to live 18 games?
Yeah,
I doubt it. That's why we got Jake Mayer there, I guess. But that's I've seen Jake Mayer before too. He kind of reminds me of Chris Trevler, not in a good way. Anyways, yeah. So we'll see what happens there. I hope that I'm wrong, but if Calgary had a decent team, or like offensive line, defensive line, and a few other pieces, I think they'd be a really good team. But they need a lot of pieces yet. So, Grey Cup prediction. I guess we may as well go for the long bomb here, and then we'll start wrapping this thing up.
Give me Hamilton, Winnipeg.
Okay, I'm gonna go Hamilton, Saskatchewan. I think I don't know. The Riders got to get healthy. That's all I can say. They get healthy, they win. They get hurt, they're done.
I have to say the same thing with Winnipeg. Like, I don't want to sound like the homer, but it's until they prove otherwise. I don't know. Like everyone keeps saying, "Oh, Collaros," then he throws 100 yards, 3 picks, and they still win. You know what I mean? Except for, and we could argue too, if he didn't cut his hand, what's happening in November, or if they actually replaced him properly. There's a lot of hindsight 2020 in that game. And again, I know I've not been the biggest Zach Collaros fan up until recently, but I mean, until otherwise, I mean, there's nothing saying this team can't. And heck, who's to say if they just actually like utilize Oliveira too? He was dealing with an injury that kind of just came out too, right? So, yep. They could just hand him the ball 50 times a game, and I'm sure they'd win. So, and then they just get 6 receivers that can block good. That's all they need to do.
And, of course, we got to go with the last little bit. Your 2025 Grey Cup champion is...
Let's go for 4 straight losses. Give me Hamilton.
Oh, man, that would suck. Plus, I never let you hear the end of it. But nevertheless, we'll go with that. No, I'm going to go with Hamilton, too. I think that it's finally time to end it.
I think their drought's over, yeah.
They're due. They've got the team. I think I can't see very much getting past the Ticats this season. Well, I we've talked for long enough. It's almost an hour and 55 minutes. We will be back again next week at a special time, I should say, on Monday at 10:30 Eastern time. I don't have any of the slides made yet. I'll go and work on some of those eventually. See what happens if Ryan's not here. Everything goes all apart, and we spend an hour and 54 minutes. Anyways, 10:30 Eastern time next week. It'll be a fantasy draft special. we have to make our picks for our teams for our private fantasy league. If you love watching some very, very entertaining guys talk about why they're picking players over other players, and for me bragging because I won last year, you'll want to tune in at 10:30 Eastern time next Monday, I guess this coming Monday. And also, if you get a chance, check our Discord channel. Make sure you head over there and check who's going to be doing what in what draft order. And they'll also be releasing our keepers because we're allowed 2 keepers, I believe it is this year. I didn't see all the rule changes, but I think we're allowed 2 keepers as long as they weren't the same keepers as last year. So yeah, we've got that to deal with as well. But make sure you join us 10:30 Monday evening. I believe myself, Trey, Ryan, and Mike, yes, Mike, will be with us on that day as well. You can follow us on Twitter at CFC Countdown Pod or on Facebook at facebook.com/CFC Countdown Pod. And be sure to check out all the other great shows from all the other Canadian football podcast networks, as well at CFC Podcast Network on Twitter. And check out the Alternative Football Network at the official AFN on Twitter or alternativefootballnetwork.com. Trey always has a good article there about his favorite quarterback from that league. Very, very often, I'm sure. Otherwise, where can people find you over on the socials, Trey?
Well, you can find me at Trey MB Harness. The quarterback I really hate hasn't been playing. Birmingham, they've started 4 or 5 guys this year, and I don't know, it's wild. But yeah, you know what? If you want to read me there, I have to work on a couple articles tonight, and I don't want to. I'm tired. But yeah, on the FM, I'm the Birmingham Stallions writer. They are going into the playoffs where they're taking on Michigan, I believe, next week. Week 8, 9, and 10 meant nothing. And then the finals the week after, and then it's just 100% CFL. And you can also check out my horse racing stuff there at Trey MB Harness. I just want to go to bed, man. See you Monday, and then what? We're gonna start on Wednesdays after that too. Did you say that part?
Yeah, we're gonna do our regular shows. So you're gonna see our preview shows are going to be on Wednesday evenings. We'll talk a little bit about the week that passed, maybe for a quick second, and then we're going to go and get right into the shows. Maybe not as much of fantasy as we had back in the day, because Brian will be there with us, but maybe not so often. So we may not have as much fantasy as we used to, but we'll still have some betting lines. We'll still make our picks for the week. We'll still talk game preview a little bit, and whatever you guys want to talk about, I guess. If there's a controversial play in the week before, or if Andrew Harris loses his mind and tries to punch a Winnipeg Blue Bomber, I mean, we'll talk about it all if we see something cool to talk about. So anyways, again, remind you to check out the Discord channel. We do lots of our stuff there that we talk about during the week. Usually we're playing around in there, looking and seeing our fans probably make more posts than what we do, in all honesty. That's because we got some great fans always. So thank you very much again for tuning in on the Discord channel and whatever podcast platform you're listening on. We appreciate it if you do the fun things like comment, subscribe, rate, review, share the show with your friends. Help us grow the show. We always appreciate it. And from Trey Colbeck and from yours truly, Adam Stewart, we want to thank you very much for watching. Thank you. Good night. Have a good